So today we're going to be talking about the second pillar in my 3 pillars of turning your puppy into your dream dog. So the first one is positive training. We talked a little bit about that last week. We started to get our power of yes going. This week, we're going to jump into the second principle, which is managing your puppy's stress. And this is so important. This is a piece that most people are not talking about, and it's a major factor that determines how your puppy will develop, what they're going to be like when they're adults, whether they're aggressive, all sorts of things. So the effects on excessive stress on a puppy's body are very similar to how they would be for us. So we know that we're not supposed to be under a lot of stress. We know that it depletes our immune system, that it makes us unhappy, that it makes our brain not work correctly, that it makes us grumpy. But for puppies, it actually can also do a lot of the same things. It can affect their health. It can affect their immune system. They can have trouble sleeping. They can have trouble eating. Maybe they lose their appetite. They can be aggressive or fearful. They can withdraw and not be interacting with you. There's all different ways that stress can present itself. But they can also have long-term consequences. So stress can cause developmental issues, improper growth, behavioral problems, lack of happiness in your dog when they get older. It can certainly increase your vet bill because it will decrease their immune system and cause them to be sick more often, and it can shorten their life. So stress is a major thing that we should be thinking about. And again, so many people are focusing just on training and not talking about this piece at all. There are a lot of triggers that can cause stress, and some of them that you've probably thought about are let's say loud noises, right? We know that there are some out of our control, like thunder, a loud motorcycle, things like that. And we are using our socialization that we learned last week to get our dogs used to those things. But there's also, how loud is our TV on? Their hearing is very sensitive. Maybe we're watching a show that has a huge battle scene in it, and we're not thinking about how that affects our puppy. I actually had a crazy thing happen. I was watching a TV series and my dog started to have symptoms that were very much like a seizure every time I watched this one show. And I Googled it, and all of these other people were having these weird situations where their dogs were reacting really strangely when they played the show. And it's because the sound engineers on the show thought it would be cool to add these really weird sounds like goats when they're in pain and all these crazy things in order to cause tension in the scenes. But it was causing dogs to have these crazy reactions. So needless to say, I'm not watching that show anymore, but you have to think about what are these things doing to my dog? They can hear everything that's coming out of your TV. Is it too loud? Is the music in the car too loud? Things like that. Also, unfamiliar environments. We talked about this with socialization. Certainly they have the big change of moving into your home, but then also other situations that are new to them and using your socialization skills to limit their stress from those. Separation anxiety. So we have a whole lesson next week dedicated to separation anxiety, but it definitely is something that will cause stress in your puppy. A lack of routine, and then their fear period. We talked about that too. Between 8 and 11 weeks, they're going to go through a fear period, and that causes stress. But then there's some other things that cause stress in your puppy that you might not have thought of. So one of those is chemicals in toys. There are a lot of toys now being made overseas without any regulations, and there are a lot of chemicals that are being used on these toys. So be careful what you let your puppy chew on. Those chemicals, the toxins getting into their system, can cause stress, can cause inflammation and physical stress on their body. The next is lack of exercise. Not exercising can actually stress your dog out just as much as exercising too much. So you have to make sure that you're in that sweet spot, but you definitely don't want to have them exercising too little. And then your care decisions also affect their stress level, but that's all about not having toxins in their products and their environment as well. And last is your energy. So dogs naturally pick up on the energy of other animals. They have to for their safety in the wild. So when they're in a pack, when wolves are together out in the wild, if one of them sees danger or thinks there's danger and gets stressed, it is important that the other animals in the pack can read that stress and know that there's some kind of danger. So when you are stressed, they think there's danger and they feel stressed. They feel unprotected and unsafe. So just make sure you're thinking about how much stress you have around your puppy. If your house is a bit chaotic, make sure that they get those time outs in their safe space and that they're not always having to play with the kids or always in like the craziness that may be going on in your house. Signs of stress: excessive barking, panting, trembling, hiding from you, destructive behavior, things like that. You know that your puppy has too much stress. So how do we control their stress level? Well, with their safe space, like we talked about, making sure they get their time out, their rest time. Puppies should be sleeping about 18 to 20 hours a day. You can also do relaxation exercises with your puppy. So maybe give them a little bit of a massage. Maybe you have relaxing music on. Maybe you use some essential oils. So things like lavender and cedar wood are very good to calm them down. They're also good to calm us down. So you'll get the double benefit of not having your own stress plus de-stressing your puppy. And you'll also get a lot of bonding if you have some massage time every day. So now that you know more about stress in your puppy and why you should be reducing it, we're going to jump in tomorrow with different ways, starting with the food that they eat, different ways over the next few days that you can make decisions that will help them have less stress.